you started out wanting to buy rental properties,
Mhm.
ended up moving into flipping and wholesaling. We took that same path. You ended up building a business around it, which I think you kind of alluded to. It was a little bit of a detour on the wealth building side. Do you feel like knowing what you know now, you probably could have gone in to the just straight into the wealth building, the building the actual rental portfolio, the passive income, and not going into the flipping or wholesaling business?
Such a good
Or like, and a lot of this is hindsight, but
yeah.
would that have been a better decision at the time, or do you feel like it definitely was the best decision because it's led to these other things?
Yeah, it's such a hard question to answer because I wouldn't trade where I'm at right now for anything. And the journey, although extremely difficult, I learned so much and had other opportunity that I never thought I would have, you know. So if I could go back and restart, first of all, I would want to know like that it all turns out okay.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through it, you're like, this is hell. This
Yep.
is really hard. And you're so all in, like everything is all in. Your all your personal finances are intermingled and families on the road with you going to these things. So I would love to know, like for sure that would have been okay. But I probably wouldn't have taken such the detour with building the business. I think I probably would have just been slower in buying the rental properties and kind of slowly chugging away when if I'm totally honest of like the emotional cost that it cost me something, like
Like, are you saying instead of, and I don't know what your volume was, instead of flipping or wholesaling 10 a month, doing the 3 to 5 a month and holding half, that kind of thing, or
well, no, because I don't even think that that's really, and this is just my opinion from my experience, but I think it's actually harder to do 3 a month than it is to do 15 a month because there's that like middle piece that really sucks, where you don't have enough volume to support staff, but you
it's the
have it
death zone?
exactly, but you
Yeah.
have enough volume that like you'll die by
Yeah.
yourself. Like it's such a, you can't do it that part halfway. I think you either do like very low volume, few a year, or you go high volume
Yeah.
and then do the go through all the brain damage to get there.
Yeah.
So
For us, it
it's
was 4, more than 4. That was the, because we went through that. We went through the death zone, and I read it in a book. I forget which book it was.
yeah.
I think it was Simple Numbers. There's Profit First and Simple Numbers. I love both those
Yeah.
books, but I think it was that. It talks about that death zone. You're small, but it's you. Then you scale, but the problem is if you don't scale big enough and you stay in that death zone, like you have a choice. You either run off the cliff and die, like your business dies, or you got to, scale back down and rebuild. So, like for us, it was that around 4 a month, because we never really scaled much more than 7 a month. So we were in
Yeah.
that death zone. We ended up just pulling back. Um, but I've seen others explode past that and do 10, 20, 30 deals a month, a lot more than that, and do very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of have to you find yourself making that choice while you're growing. And I don't know. I think both work out. I mean, I'm sitting on the other side of it now. It worked out great. It worked out immeasurably more than I thought it would. And that's not I don't think that's from my own contribution or Zach. I mean, I think we've been really, really blessed along the way. But had I had started over, I would have been perfectly happy, continuing to work as a nurse practitioner and then just like slowly buying rentals and kind of adjusting expectations as far as like what we could achieve. But on the other side of the coin, like we've had the most incredible experiences. We've accumulated more wealth than I ever thought was possible. And being able to own different businesses that diversify that income, like looking at owning a business as far as passive income versus owning a property as passive income, that has been amazing. And so I recommend the journey for people who know how hard it is. I don't recommend the journey for people who think it's going to be easy. So, and in the beginning, you're doing it because you're like, I can do this. Like these other guys are doing it. I can totally do this too. So it's kind of conflicting advice. I think I wish I had understood how hard it would have been because I would have felt more normal during the process. That was the hardest part of just being so all in and just being like, "Why is this so hard? Is this supposed to be this hard?" The answer is yes. The answer is definitely yes. And, confronting with that choice that you make. Like I sacrificed time with my kids. I sacrificed sleep. I sacrificed my own health. Like I wouldn't do that again. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't do it once.